Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. As usual, I appreciate you all for watching. Today we have a special series, so this will be the first episode of the series. I'm gonna be having different people giving their take on schools in Canada. So if you're thinking of coming to study, at least you have like a brief overview of what schools you can look into. So stay with me on this video and then I will introduce my special guest. Welcome, Danielle, to the channel.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, Danielle went to Durham College, and we'll be digging our brain to find out some information about Durham. I think that one's not so popular, but I'll allow you to kind of talk through the school and give us your take on it and your experience there. So, first of all, tell us a little bit about yourself first, and then we get into the college review.
Alrighty. So I came to Canada in 2020. I am a addiction and mental health counselor. That's what I did at Durham. I currently work as an addictions counselor at one of the jails in Ontario, and it has been fun. So yeah.
Yeah, she works at the prison. I don't know about that. Uh, but great. Thank you for introducing yourself. So tell us where Durham College is located and how did you find the location?
All right. So it is located in Oshawa, of Ontario. At first, I did not know where I wanted to go. So I did have the option between there and Humber College because they both had the program that I wanted to do, which was the graduate diploma in addiction and mental health.
Mm.
So it was between those two. However, while looking through the practicum option at the end of the program, just through my research, I found that Durham had a better option. Also, it was a tad bit cheaper than Humber, so that was definitely the option for me.
Right. So Danielle's school was in Oshawa, which is on the east. Durham would have been downtown, right in the center of the city. So automatically living would have been,
A
I
lot
guess,
better.
a little bit more expensive. So aside from the school being cheaper, I think cheaper in terms of cost of living is also another factor. But you mentioned something about the practicum. Tell us a little bit about that and how did you find the school in preparing you and helping you to get that practicum as a part of, completing your diploma.
Okay, so the practicum was the final part of the program. My program was a year and a half, the last semester being the practicum. One of the things I'd say is that they don't actually help you to find a practicum site. So you had to do that on your own, which kind of felt really pressuring, especially being an international student. However, I found the professors to be amazing. They were experts in their field, and so they kind of guided. But the downside to it is that you had to find your practicum on your own.
Interesting. So did they call it practicum, work placement, co-op? What did they classify it as? Practicum?
They did classify it as they use both. So officially, it's considered co-op, but while going through the program, it's you're going to get ready for practicum.
Yeah. Okay. That's a really good point. Because I know like when I do applications, we look at co-op versus work placement. And I know co-op you find the jobs for yourself. And
Mhm.
that's something a lot of people don't know. With co-op, you pay for it, but they don't find it for you.
Whew.
And so I pay for co-op and then I just decided to not be bothered with it because I just anyways, yeah. So I was just like, probably this is probably not for me. But it's good to know that there is a difference between practicum versus co-op because I think the placement they do place you, but it's
Mhm,
shorter period of time.
mhm, mhm.
But you were saying the professors are good in terms of how they taught or the coursework. How did you find the course load in general?
It was heavy. It was I've never done so much work in through my undergrad. Never. It was so much work. And because a large portion of it was online, or pretty much majority of it was online, it
Mm-hmm.
seemed as if the work doubled.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a lot. But because the professors, they were mental health practitioners, they were therapists, so they were giving us real life experiences. So
Yeah.
it didn't feel like you were stuck in the classroom. And so one of the things that I enjoyed is because they were giving their own real life experiences, is that when you went into your co-op, you felt like you knew what to do because you were pulling on their experiences. So I think that was really important that they were in the field because it didn't seem like it was just learning from a textbook. So
Mm-hmm.
that was good.
That's actually awesome, right? That's actually awesome. That's kind of, I guess that's one of my problems with teachers on a whole. Like if you don't know, like if you've never done it or stuff like in university and college, like how can you teach me? So I
Yep.
don't know. Do you know if this would have been the same across the board at Durham?
No, actually,
Mm-hmm.
I've heard some persons talk about their own experience at Durham, and it's horrible. Um, so one thing that they did say is that a lot of your experiences was course dependent or program dependent, especially for those courses that were like undergrad. A lot of the feedback that you'd get is that the professors didn't seem to care that much, or they weren't as much involved.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I just chose a great program,
Yeah.
and it was also persons who were passionate about it. So as
Mm-hmm.
you talk about, the idea of teachers, some of them having no experience, and so they kind of just give you what they see in the textbook. For these persons, they almost had that burden where they needed to help, and they looked at us as the future generation. So I find that they were very involved in what we did. And one of the things is that when I left, they were actually my references for my first job and my second job
Mm-hmm.
because they were that involved.
That's great. That's great. And so you made some good points. And just to reiterate, the program that you did was the graduate diploma, addiction and mental health. Just for people that want to know, just want to put it out there. I know that Durham was before now, like back in the day, they were kind of training people or training their students to go and work for, it slipped my mind, that company is General Motors. So
Okay.
yes, so I know their practical courses that they have. They used to feed them to GM. So people
Nice.
go there to go to GM, and that, when you work for GM, you make the big bucks. So automatically the students go there. And back in the day, that was like $50 an hour,
Mm-hmm.
millionaires working at GM. So I know Durham, their practical programs would be very good because they would kind of have them set up in the past for
Mm-hmm.
General Motors. I don't know if it is the same right now, but that much I know before.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A lot of their professors might actually be for the technical end or anything practical, might be industry professionals. That's what I'm feeling based on your answer there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hmm. That's good. What about the grading? Do you think they were generous in grading? Do you like their grading system? Just generally, how was that part of it for you?
I think they were quite fair. Also, I think because they were interested in not just like regurgitating the information,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to know how you could apply it.
Mm-hmm.
So I found one thing I enjoyed was the feedback. So you might get a grade and you think, I should have gotten more. But
Right.
once you saw the feedback, you knew, okay, this
Oh,
is why I got that. So I think the grading, it's the best I've ever done in school. But also, the grading was very fair, and if you didn't feel like you got a good
mm-hmm.
grade, they had sessions where you could go to talk about like why did I get this grade, and kind of prepare you for the next one.
Yeah, that's amazing. I know this one is gonna be like off-putting because of COVID. This one's just probably, you might not know and you probably just hear stories. But in terms of generally, um, the activities that are available on campus,
Mhm.
like the clubs and the different interactions. And I don't know how much time you had, or if any, to kind of walk on campus with COVID and to be a part of clubs or
Mhm.
any sort of. I don't think anybody was meeting up that much at that time, unfortunately. But any stories?
Funny enough, so when I was there, nothing was happening. I was one of the only few persons that were on campus.
Mm,
But the residency that I was staying on is actually one of the lively one. It's called South Village, and so they have activities going on every single week.
mm,
And one of the things is that they're geared towards culture diversity, learning different cultures. Even though they had a lot of things that were shut down, one of the things that they did have was connecting with mental health support,
mm,
wellness centers. Those were still up. They had a big gym. If you decided you wanted to make some changes in your life, fitness wise, there were still persons there who'd walk you through, and it was free. So that was something that was really great. But I know that they're very big on clubs and interacting and just persons getting to know each other and that diversity. They're really big on that. But when I was there, nothing was happening. So
yeah.
it's kind of jealous now looking back and seeing all that's going on. It's like, I missed out on that. But
Mm-hmm.
it's just the time.
Yeah, unfortunately. So now we're gonna switch gear a little bit and talk about. I think this probably is the last topic, but I think it's very important. Is their international student department leg of the school? I know for a lot of colleges, like for like Centennial, like the universities and colleges, they have international departments where they have immigration consultants that will actually walk you through your postgrad work permit, study permit extension, any updates that you needed to know for like co-op or whatever. How did you find that support service for international students?
So I will say it was great. Every single week, I believe it was like on a Thursday, they had an hour-long session that they spoke about. So majority of the things I learned while being in Canada, I learned through that. So the things that you need. One thing I would say that I was very upset about was a week before my co-op, I got an email from them saying, "Hey, do you have your co-op work permit?"
Mm,
Permit, and I'm asking, "What is that?" Because again, I came during COVID. The immigration officer did not give me anything. And so they're like, "Oh, yes, you need it before you can start your co op, but it also takes 100 and something days to get it." So
mm-hmm.
I was lucky enough to get it within that week, but I felt like it was something that should have been discussed with me like a semester before.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my only issue with them. But outside of that,
Yeah.
we're very, and it's during that time, a lot of persons were really just afraid of like, will I be able to, with the changing in policies, if I do
Yeah.
this, will I be able to get a postgraduate work permit? And so I found that they were very informative in just giving those information as things were updated. And also, I've emailed them a few times because, again, it was just such an uncertain time. And they were always quick to respond with the information that I need. So I found that they were very helpful. As I said, I'd give them 100%, but just the fact that I almost missed out on
Yeah.
co op because of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's actually interesting because on some of the colleges and universities, their letter of acceptance, they actually say they actually attach that letter to say there is a work placement part on it, and then they would say this can be used to get your co-op work permit. So I'm
Nope,
surprised that they didn't include in that. So that's
nothing.
surprised, but big deal. They have a 1 hour session every week, so the last stuff went there, but I
Yes.
just give them, a little leeway, saying that COVID and they were freaking out just as much as everybody else.
Yeah.
But yeah, that is great. But any final thoughts on Durham, and do you think you would recommend it to other people interested in coming?
Absolutely, I would. I found that again, like for the 4 years I did my undergrad, what I've learned could not prepare me for the work world compared to the year and a half that I did at Durham. I felt comfortable. My first co-op, like I knew what I was supposed to do, and I
Mm,
think that was one of the things about it is that they they created the environment where I was ready to be in the field. And so I would cancel. I needed my undergrad, but what I learned there, I learned theories and but nothing compared to application. And I think Durham gave that, and they were very supportive
Yeah.
in that. So I would tell persons, it's not going to be the best just because colleges, everybody have their downfalls. But I think Durham would be a great school to come to. I think they are supportive of international students. They're very aware of the issues that we have, and they provide that support, whether it's providing information or just mental health support, because it's rough. Like coming to a new school can be hard. And I think that they are aware of that and they try to do their best to accommodate international students. So
Mm-hmm.
would recommend.
Yeah. Oh, good point. Good points. Good points. And yeah, I agree. Like it's more than tough, and it's just really a matter of like you having a goal.
Yeah.
And there's one point to make. I feel like it's a Caribbean thing, but I think it's still important in case it's like not only a Caribbean thing. Is that I feel like we think if you're not going to a university, it's just like cancel culture.
Yeah.
But the truth is, in Canada and even at work with engineers, they're saying, I wish I had gone and to a college
Mm,
for a diploma and then go into my degree. And that's simply because of the practical aspects that a lot of degree programs don't provide you with.
mm,
I went to UTech, and so most of my sessions were practical and a lot of it were analytical. But I know here and other places, universities, it's just theory, theory, theory. So I just wanted to add that in. So, because I know I get a lot of people that want to go to the biggest and the best and the this and the all of that. And I don't know what type of culture where it came from, but just wanted to kind of dismiss it slightly here. Yeah, thank you so much, Danielle.
no problem.
Appreciate your feedback, and I'll definitely be recommending people to Durham based on your feedback. Appreciate it. Thank you.
No problem.